Queen of Holes by C.S.R.
Chapter 9. Setting out, and I think you're still a perpson. Believe me, being stuck with the Prince of Nightmares was the last thing I wanted, but I don't have much of a choice. After all, they were holding my friends captive whether I liked it or not. And after finding out that they were Smaragds called tormentors, I knew better than to upset or trust them. For all I knew, the moment I gave them my heart, which I'm not sure that will work or sure what I'm looking for, they might just kill or torture my friends and me anyway. They could be torturing them as I'm on my journey. I had no way of knowing if they were safe. Before I left, Jarvis had somehow snuck away from the rest for a little bit just to warn me.
Under no circumstances,
He said,
must you give them your heart. You may think you're saving people, but with this power, they will just kill more.
Before I could ask him what he thought I should do, he snuck back to the others. I felt so confused and lost. I hadn't a clue what to do besides play it by ear, which I guess became my defense mechanism in my hard and confusing times. I also had no clue how to get to this temple and what the journey would be like. Would we be sleeping outside on the floor? Would he try to hurt me? How long would it take? What would be appropriate clothing? I didn't want to pack anything, so I just brought clothes perfect for an armed winter, which consisted of a fuzzy, light coffee-colored sweater shirt, a long olive green skirt, pinstripe stockings, and my boots. When I got changed and was face of coal, he gave me this confused, disapproving glance as he said,
"You are wearing clothes like that."
He gave a small sigh as he slightly shook his head. He, of course, was dressed head to toe in royal garbs made of very precious and fine material. I knew that I would be traveling with a pompous prima donna and not sure if I could handle his self-righteous above-all attitude. He looked down upon me, and it wasn't just because of our height difference.
How is it that someone I have never met before keeps disappointing me?
Oh yeah, this guy was a total perpson, or asshole would be the term used in Homans. I knew better than to talk too much to him, for if I pissed him off, he had the power to have something dastardly done to my friends, or even me. But I was more worried about my friends and how if I had gotten injured, it would affect me in helping them. He had this aura about him that screamed short-tempered. We started immediately, traveling through towns and terrain, just saying almost nothing to most of the people that roamed the areas. The first day was exhausting because of how silent and pushy Cole was. He constantly would grip me harshly and literally toss me around like some careless child carrying a rag doll. It seemed to be his way of assuring that I wouldn't run away since they thought I might be willing to desert my friends to their cruelty and sadism. At one point, when I felt my arm was bruising under his grasp, I looked up at him and asked, "Do you mind loosening your grip for a bit, please? You're really hurting me."
Am I now, goddess?
He gave me an eerie look that was almost a smile. "Yes.
I am just trying to make sure you don't slip away."
You don't need to hold so tightly." His look of pleasure faded. "I think you're bruising me." He pulled on my arm roughly as he started to pull down my shirt. "Hey!" My face must have been flushed from embarrassment and fear.
Well, what do you know?
He looked at the bruises on my biceps.
Seems your human body is just as fragile as any human would be.
He let go of me with a forceful push, allowing me to pull my shirt back up. "That was very invasive." He shot me a mercilessly angry glance.
Be thankful that I am even doing this for you, goddess. I honestly could not care for the fate of your companions, but here I am, traveling to save their lives. On top of the fact that I am now allowing you a little more free range, you know nothing about gratitude, do you?
The nerve of this guy. He didn't know me. Was I supposed to be grateful that his seemingly psychotic mother didn't kill my friends? Normal people wouldn't just threaten to rip out the heart of other people. Look, I'm grateful that my friends aren't dead at this very moment,
But I thought you were only here to get my heart for your mother.
Of course.
So don't twist the truth around and say you're doing it for me and my friends, please. I shook my head and started to walk forward.
You have no idea where you are going.
I turned my head to look back at him. Yes, I do. Forward. Suddenly, my foot got caught in the vines and roots of some trees, and I tumbled toward the floor, feeling my ankle twisting around painfully. Cole walked up where I fell with a look of annoyance.
Get up.
But I continued to lie on the floor, stroking my ankle that was in pain.
Get up.
I can't.
Get up now.
He roughly grabbed my arm once more, trying to pull me off the floor. No, really, I think I hurt my ankle. Suddenly, he pulled me back and squatted by my feet. With his gloved hands, he picked up my foot that had gotten caught and proceeded to remove my boot and stocking. He examined it carefully, then sighed as he said under his breath,
Really? At the beginning of the journey, nonetheless.
He put my foot down and looked me in the eyes.
It seems you have just strained it, but if you walk on it, it will only make matters worse and slow us down.
He stood up and walked to my side, offering his hand in a calm and charming manner that was very different from his previous outburst.
Come on, but do not put pressure on your ankle.
I took his hand and he helped me stand, using him as assistance for balance. He turned his back to me, then bent over a little bit.
Get on my back.
What?
Just do it, goddess. Do not argue with me.
I hesitantly wrapped my arms around his shoulders as I lifted my legs to his waist.
It is getting dark and there is a town nearby. We will stop for the night there in one of their hotels or inns. On the first day, and she was already causing problems. Although, I had to admit, I was in awe of her bravery and resistance. The fool had easily sprained her ankle, though, so I had to carry her to the nearest town during dusk. Nonetheless, I could not really complain about having her on my back. She smelled very nice, and the hair and skin that brushed against my face was rather soft. I looked at the skies as I went on. I did not have the chance to admire them from outside the castle usually, and in a jungle, nonetheless.
Wow,
I heard Marla whisper in a breathtaking tone.
so beautiful.
She was sitting up straight as she looked up at the sky. I responded, All beauty comes to an end. In a few minutes, all these colors will be replaced by a dark and endless sky.
So then we should take time to enjoy anything we find beautiful before it slips away. Especially if you know it will be gone soon.
She gave a slight giggle. And if I were to find you beautiful, should I take time to enjoy you?
Wow, you sound so dirty saying that.
Dirty?
You know, it sounded sexual and suggestive when you say it like that. Did you mean it like that?
I felt her tense up as she slightly recoiled her torso from my back. Just as poetry, what I said can be taken as whatever you would like it to be.
You find me pretty, and you like poetry. Maybe we're a match made in Pale's Cove.
She giggled again.
But then again, you said if you found me beautiful. So you might not find me pretty, and we're just saying it to be theoretical. Sorry, it was stupid to assume you were attracted to me. I am the enemy, after all.
I can still find your appearance to be delightful.
So do you find me attractive?
Before I was willing to respond, I had found that we finally reached the town. Here we are. Let's find a vacant inn.
You're avoiding my question, aren't you?
No?
Then why aren't you answering?
Because I do not have to. I had Marla off my back and allowed her to lean on me for support. We walked into the finest looking inn and I asked for a room with 2 separate beds, just so I could keep an eye on her for the night. I also asked the front desk if they could bring ice and ointment to our room to help care for her ankle. She seemed strangely unalarmed that we would be sharing a bedroom, although she kept making quips about how I need to keep to my side of the room. I did not really get how it was humorous, nor did I understand how I would have a side of the room. Humor was never my strong point, nor was it encouraged in the castle, although emotions in general was not encouraged in the castle. When we entered the room, I helped Marla make her way to the bed farthest from the door. Shortly after arriving, a peasant who worked in the hotel had brought us the items that I asked for. I went over to Marla to take care of her injury, but she seemed to think that she was treating it herself as she tried to snatch the items from my hands.
You can give it to me, you know.
She stared.
I can take care of myself.
I responded, "Obviously not, or else you wouldn't have gotten injured so easily." I once again removed her worn-out boots and peculiar stocking. I then halted, remembering that I couldn't apply the ointment with my gloves on. Do not take any of this in the wrong way. I started to remove my own gloves. This is not an act of kindness or affection. It is only to make you more mobile and easy to deal with. She looked away, flushed face as though she was embarrassed. You should know that trying to escape from me at any time would be foolish. I am part hunter, so I will be able to find you before you can even bat an eyelash.
Really? I thought you were a tormentor.
No. At least, not only. I am mainly tormentor. But hunter, charmer, and tempter blood flows through my veins as well.
Wow, what a combination. No wonder you're so irresistible.
Pardon? I asked in confusion, looking up to see an even more flustered face.
Nothing. I'm just joking around. I was just saying you had an alluring aura about you is all. Probably from being charmer and tempter. It's surprising though, since those two hate each other so much. Or at least they usually do.
It's surprising that Queen Verbus was able to get Queen C.S.R and King Baffler to consent her marriage with my father. She really had to fight, since us Palins had always been full-blooded tormentors.
How strange.
What? Being full-blooded?
No, it's just... I'm assuming Sari and Baffler are your grandparents, and I know Fervis is your mother, but you didn't use your father's name. I was just thinking that it wasn't an accident. That you did it on purpose.
He had shamed our family, and is the burden I carry in my blood. I do not remember him very well anyway.
So is he dead, or did he abandon you guys? If you don't mind me asking.
Both. I grew uncomfortable talking about my father, especially around strangers. But this was different. Was it because she was a goddess? He left Queen Fervis for another woman. It became apparent that he was an adulteress, since his second wife had his child shortly after the marriage. Queen Fervis convinced him to return to her, but he was shown the price he would have to pay for shaming her, another queen, and his children. And that was the end of him.
I'm sorry.
Do not be apologetic for something that you had nothing to do with. I stood up and grabbed a pillow from the wardrobe, placing it under Marla's blankets at the foot of the bed. Keep your foot elevated. I wrapped the ice pack in a towel and handed it to her. Get some rest, goddess. We leave as soon as I wake up. I went into the water closet and changed my clothes into something I could sleep in. I went back into the room and laid in the other bed, constantly checking on Marla.